What's up, gamers? Welcome back to another Nerdly video. It's a rainy Tuesday today, and there's currently around 8,000 of you goobs playing Risk of Rain 2. It's a really healthy amount, but if you look at the stats, I think the average is around 10k per day. I don't know where the rest of you 2,000 went. I would hope to God that you're playing Barony, but in reality, you're probably playing Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball 2 on the Xbox 360. I can't even show this picture. You know, I'm honestly asking a real question. What happened to Risk of Rain Returns? From a peak of like 43,000 players to a box of scraps in a cave. It's completely dead. I mean, why? Dude, Returns is such an incredible game. I personally really hate platformer games, and I absolutely love this game. The more I play it, the more I enjoy the game. I think there's quite a few contributing factors as to why people don't really play Returns. Mostly that they're lame and uncultured. But in today's era, there are new games coming out nearly every day. If you play games on PC, there's just a sea of indie games out there, and so many of them are always discounted or even free. There's just so much competition for gamer attention, and in the age of TikTok, you've got probably an hour or so to captivate a gamer. Otherwise, they're going to refund it or just never play the game again. Returns really takes quite a long time to start enjoying. Ever play Barony? God, I'm telling you, Barony is such a quality game, despite looking like actual shit. See, I'm a ninja. I'm supposed to be sneaky, you know. And if the... I'm dead immediately! Thorg, I'm dead immediately! There's a damn rock there! These games really just take a long time to learn. And nobody wants to play a game and feel like they're underpowered and constantly lose run after run. It's absolutely demoralizing. Returns is a much harder game to master than 2. Funny enough, when you take a dimension away, the game actually gets quite a bit harder. I'm mostly talking about dodging attacks. Dodging an attack from a stone golem clap is pretty easy in Risk of Rain 2. It probably takes new players just a few minutes to understand how the enemies work and how to avoid his attacks. It's entirely different in Risk of Rain Returns. Getting the timing correct takes a lot of practice and patience. It's one of those things where I always feel like I can sneak in one more hit, but in reality, I've made a mistake and I'm going to take damage. There are a lot of changes even from Risk of Rain 1 that makes Return the most difficult game in the series. It's no surprise that Risk of Rain became popular because of the second game. Years later, and not very many, if any, have been able to replicate the masterpiece that is Risk of Rain 2. You generally just do less damage in Returns, and it feels like elites spawn more often and earlier in the run. The maps are much larger, meaning you'll spend more time just running around looking for loot in the teleporter. Not to mention, the platforming is very punishing. If you miss a jump, you might fall way down and lose a lot of time and health. What's funny, and maybe it's just me, but I feel like the Providence fight is actually easier than the Mithrix fight. Maybe it's because if I'm even able to get to Providence, it means I'm pretty strong. But I think if you look past just 2D games being in general less popular than 3D games, the game being harder and unfamiliar to players who started on Risk of Rain 2, it's just a recipe to be less frequently played by the fan base. I do like the custom scaling that you can choose before a run. You can play on Drizzle and then absolutely nerf every enemy into the ground if you want. Unironically, this is a good place to start if you're a new player to Returns. If you feel like all of your Risk of Rain 2 skills are going to transfer to Returns, you're going to have a bad time. The game is very different. The items don't work the same, you've lost a dimension, and the game just generally needs to be played differently than Risk of Rain 2. You know, one of the things that I really appreciate about this game is the multiplayer. I've talked a lot about how I really don't enjoy multiplayer in Risk of Rain 2. I was honestly surprised to learn that this was a me thing. An overwhelming number of y'all actually preferred multiplayer over solo play in Risk of Rain 2. In Returns, I really love the multiplayer. It honestly feels like the maps are so big and everything is so scattered, you sort of have to split up and focus on different parts of the map. Then when it's time to fight the boss, you reunite with your friends and work the boss down together. The game caters to multiplayer much better than 2 because of this difficulty. That modifier that forces everyone to have the same amount of items is also really neat. This helps everyone sort of improve together rather than just one person getting carried. I need to take a step back here, and I need to talk about the Providence stage. I think it's literally just called Risk of Rain. This final boss stage, as compared to Mithrix, is insane. It really puts Mithrix and the moon to shame. Just the idea of collecting the key cards to open the secret doors, to get those last few items items before you have to fight Providence. It's just such a fun mechanic. And the Providence fight itself is also honestly a lot of fun. Providence doesn't just go around spamming one-shot attacks like Mithrix. Overall, the Return's final boss fight is much more polished and thought out than Risk of Rain 2. As much as I've praised Returns, it's by no means a perfect game. The game released with a lot of problems that have been since patched, but things like directional aiming, not having printers and scrappers for item controls, and the lack of mod support or even official DLC sort of leave a little bit to be desired with this game. But all of this being said, Returns is still absolutely worth playing, especially if you're a Risk of Rain fan. I know I'm going to be playing more, and I hope you will be too. Let me know which Risk of Rain game is your favorite. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.